And how they do that is $100,000 per person per accident, per person, and then it's $500,000 by disease per policy. So, you know, like the mesothelioma, and on farms, there's a lot of chemical. I mean, these guys are spraying stuff all over the place, so it could be something, and this is by policy limit, and it's annual. These limits are annual, and then $100,000 per person for disease per person. You can increase these limits to $1 million, but the umbrella will go over it as well. So sometimes it's not worth it if the umbrella is going to pick it up. So it depends on the cost. You know, we'll differentiate on the cost on that. Now, so remember, priority, take care of yourself, liability second, and then properties are next. Property is a finite number, so let's talk about that. You insure a house, it only costs so much to build a house. A car only costs so much. You know, it's a finite number. Liabilities is where you end up losing everything. So let's go through property. And there's different ways you can do it, and there's different types of coverages too. All right, property. And again, there's commercial and personal lines. Oops, that's my text.
I seriously need to get that now.
How cool is that?
It is really cool.
My kid's laughing at me. Mom, you're so goofy. Nope.
So I don't know, mine's only 2.5, so she would think that was the coolest thing for probably another couple of years before she
I actually recorded that. That was my
Really?
voice. Yes, I went in the morning and she, you know, they always whinny when you kind of get hungry, right? So I went, I have to record her because she sounds so funny. You know? And I use it as a tone. My kids laugh. My grandchildren think it's a riot. Okay, so let's go over structures. Property is structures, and not necessarily just structures. It's equipment. It's hay. It's supplies. It's tack. It's everything that you have that's movable, or you're living in, or you're using. Pitchforks, bridle, saddle, you name it. Okay, but let's go over a house. Meaning this is a finite number. You definitely want to insure your house. If you don't own the house, get renter's insurance for your personal property. On a homeowner's policy, there's personal liability. It's different than commercial. Okay? So you have personal liability, your dog bites somebody. That's personal liability. And it could be, we've got a lot of dog bites. In Connecticut, dog bite is strict liability. That's what they were trying to do with the vicious horse thing.
Yep.
No matter what, you're responsible for it, even if they broke into your house. I'll give you a story on this one. I couldn't believe it. I didn't know this. I was a new agent. And as you practice your practice, just like a lawyer practices, an insurance agent practices. Well, so I insure this house. They go out to dinner. This is way before cell phones. They had Dobermans. Signs all over the house. All the dogs were inside. Somebody decided to break in. The dogs let them in. Now they're out to dinner, you know, and they didn't live too far from me. I live in Cheshire, so they're not too far. As they were breaking out of the house, the dog bit him in the behind. And he's hanging out the window with all the treasures that he stole on the ground, screaming bloody murder. The neighbors call the cops, so the cops come, finally get the dog off of him. Now, mind you, they got him in the ambulance. This is the guy that broke in. My client comes home and sees police and an ambulance at his house. And what the heck happened? Well, he got sued by the guy that broke into his house. And he won. Yep. I couldn't believe it. Yep, that's what happens. So strict liability on dogs. So you definitely want to make sure, most homeowners policies that I see, they don't even sell an umbrella, which bothers me, a personal umbrella. You want to have it with the same carrier if you can. So, same thing with the auto, on your personal auto. You definitely want to have the same carriers because they're on first dollar defense. So if you have Allstate for your home, auto, and umbrella, because you don't have two companies fighting for you. So if the umbrella company doesn't know about the claim, they're not going to be able to fight it or help the auto carrier. So you definitely want to have it with the same carrier. Most carriers do $500,000 of liability, and whatever the house or personal property is. If it's a 3,000 square foot house, you're looking at $450 usually to replace it. A homeowner's policy will take the garbage away if it burns down, and it'll also rebuild it. So you definitely want, and the other thing too, on your personal property, you don't remember what you have. So if you can, go around your house, open the cabinets, just take a video of what you have so you remember. What you have on the walls, what you have, because a lot of people don't.
Yeah, I don't think I would. If I had a fire, I don't think necessarily I would.
You have no idea what you've got.
Like 2 TVs, and then I'm not sure after that.
Clothing, we know that. You have pots and pans, but you really don't know.
Yeah.
It gets down to towels, it gets down to curtains. It's crazy. Shades, anything that's not nailed down is considered personal property. Artwork, jewelry, you need to schedule specifically. There's some coverage on a policy that's mandated by the state, but there's not enough.
I have a question. What about apartments above a barn for renter's insurance? Do you guys do that?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's interesting how many places that
I live in a barn.
would not cover that. So you need to make sure that you look for a place that will. For example, Geico will not cover it if it's over a barn.
Nope.
I went through that experience when I lived there, and they're like, nope, won't do it. So you gotta make sure that you look for the right place. Because actually, I don't remember it being that expensive for renter's insurance.
It's not.
Maybe a little bit more because it was above a barn, but it was really, you never know.
Well, and it's a liability too. So if you have a dog or a pet or somebody comes and visits you and they slip and fall in your apartment, you're going to have the coverage for it. So I'll give you an example on one that we had with raw milk was a big deal. The raw milk liability, I wouldn't drink it, but that's just me. But I've seen the claims on it too. And the E. coli, it's just, you want to have your stuff pasteurized. But there's some people that really believe in it. And, they sell it, people get sick on it, but they also had in the personal liability on their farm package, because the farm package can kind of cover both commercial and personal. You're able to do that and combine it. They gave raw milk to one of their guests. Now that's not a sale of raw milk, so that's not a commercial activity. It was just they were there and they, oh, try this, So they did, and they got sick. So they sued them personally for it. And personally, they had the coverage for it. So, and it tapped into their umbrella. The child was on dialysis for quite some time, so, yeah, not good. It happens. Again, with the umbrella, same concept. So you've got the auto, you've got personal liability. The umbrella does not go over uninsured motorists. So that's another coverage on the auto policy that's really important. If you get hit by somebody that is uninsured, it's the only part that really covers you personally. If you get hit by somebody that's underinsured and you have bodily injury, you're not going to have any coverage if you exhaust their policy and you don't take the uninsured motorist the higher limits. And I would take the higher limits. I've got the conversion coverage. There's 2 different types, standard and conversion. So I'll give you an example. Driving down the road, I have standard coverage on my uninsured motorist. I have $1 million on my policy for me personally. I get hit by somebody that has $1 million worth of coverage and they don't have anything else. I get hurt. I exhaust their policy. I have nothing on my uninsured motorist because standard, they subtract what company A pays, so it's the max that you could get. So what I did, when they changed the law in '94, I did conversion uninsured motorists. So it doesn't matter what company A pays, I have that $1 million for myself. So you want to talk to your agent about conversion coverage. And it's not expensive.
I just have a quick question, because I'm intrigued. What's the rule on double dipping with suing? Like for one incident?
Well, it depends on the incident.
Okay.
You give me an example.
Well, it's my brother. He was driving and this huge truck T-boned him. Somehow my brother's alive. I don't know, because he ended up in a tree. And
Oh my God.
they blamed it on my brother because my brother was crossing. And they had a black truck, middle of the night, no headlights on. They couldn't prove that he didn't have headlights on.
Right.
And so they got my brother for it, and they sued us once for the basic, his girlfriend chipped his tooth or something on the dashboard because they were speeding. But then all of a sudden they're suing my mother's estate.
Yep.
And I was like, you can do that? You can.
Yeah, you can. It's not. That's not considered double dipping if it's beyond. Like if there wasn't enough coverage,
Yeah.
then like if say it was 20/40, 10 as state minimums.
Mhm.
I don't know what he had for coverage, but it definitely they could go after the estate, especially if he's a member of the household. So if he's a member of the household, yes.
Because that was the thing. I was like, how are they doing this twice?
No, it's not like, like a criminal case where
Yeah.
a murder trial where they can't,
Yeah, no.
double jeopardy or whatever the heck it's called, I can't remember. But yeah, they can go after the estate. And they can go after the household.
It's very tough because a lot of this you don't know until you experience it and it's too late. This is why when I went to go get insurance for my property that I was leasing, I sat down with an agent and went through everything because that's what they're for.
Yeah.
Is they know what can happen. They see it all the time. So they're going to go, look, you need to make sure you're covered this way. You need to make sure. And I will say some of the typical auto insurance companies, like the basic ones, don't necessarily do that. They just say, okay, what do you want to pay? And then they cover
back into
whatever.
the number.
Yeah, they back into the number, and then that's great that you're not paying any money right then and there. But if something bad happens, you're going to be paying in the long run. So
you want to have really good advice because that's kind of cookie cutter. The
Yep.
online stuff. It's
Yep.
very they're set with. They're not looking out for you. They're a commodity. They just want to sell their commodity. So you definitely want to have advice, especially with the stuff that you guys are doing. And if you're traveling to different barns and facilities and you're working, you want to make sure that you have somebody that's giving you really good advice for you personally. Okay, so you got to find a good agent.
and if you're getting paid under the table, you do not have workman's comp.
Nope.
Doesn't mean you can't sue because that's a whole nother level. But then you're going to be in a hell of a lawsuit. So if you're getting paid under the table, you are not covered by workman's comp. Just to let you know.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. So, there's a lot of good things about it. You don't pay taxes either. I used to wait tables, so a lot of that cash was kind of nice. But, you don't end up getting that in your Social Security. You don't get it in your tax refund. There's a lot of disadvantages as well. So, priority. These things, then liabilities, and then property. Different types of property coverage. Basically, you've got your wind, fire, lightning, collapse, the things that are not covered normally on a policy, whether it's home or commercial, earthquake, flood, intentional damage, you burn it yourself, they'll know, arson, oh, please.
They have so many ways you think you can get away with it. You are not going to get away with it. Like you're just going to jail and losing everything.
I mean, how is it possible that it's empty? Like you emptied everything out and now all of a sudden it burned, but
Yeah.
you live there. Where's all your stuff? I'm glad that you got the animals out.
People don't think of that. But I will say that one thing I do have a question about, and that I heard from people that had this happen, the snow collapses.
Yes.
So the insurance company paid out, but what they would do is that money went directly to their mortgage versus putting up a new indoor. Did you have any
Oh
experiences
yeah,
with that?
no, that's normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's something else too that you got to think about is now all of a sudden they're out the indoor because it goes into the mortgage, and then the mortgage company wouldn't give them money towards building a new one. So you've got to kind of think about all the different avenues.
Usually there's a contract.
I don't know what she had. This is just one particular woman, and
normally it's kind of mandated.
Mhm.
If they didn't want to build, then the mortgage company would keep it and just
Yep.
pay off the loan. Because that's why you collateralize your property.
Yep.
And that's why you have to insure it, because the bank doesn't want to take a chance. So, and who blames them? If you've got $1 million mortgage, they're out a lot of money if it burns and you're not making any money on it. So usually both names are on the check. Usually the insured.
Yep.
And then you've got the bank. So what'll end up happening is they kind of put it into an escrow account, and then you hire a contractor, and then they dole out the money as the contractor. It's almost like construction loan, but it's not. It's still,
and they usually have someone like comes out and like checks to make sure it's getting done correctly, so that way they're making sure that the money actually is going to what you're doing. It's it is a long process, but it does work.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
The collapses we had a lot of snow collapses in 11 and in 13.
Yes.
Oh my
It was
God.
huge. It was like left and right. I could not believe. Clean off your roofs.
My barn collapsed. My greenhouse collapsed. My house collapsed. It was just.
Now, that is a special, is that under regular coverage or is that above and beyond typically? Because like you said, with wind and weather, sometimes you need extra.
Yes.
Like I know for flooding, sometimes you need extra flood insurance and stuff like that. People think that it's all covered, but it's not.
Yeah, flood is FEMA.
Yep.
So you get, and there's carriers that write it. But when we talk about perils,